Coming up, a lot of black girl magic being sprinkled in the WWE air.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Wrealm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm. Folks, remember, if you haven't done so yet, if this is your first time watching, first and foremost, thank you. Also, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram at Wrestling Wrealm. Like the fan page on Facebook. Subscribe down below on the YouTube channel. Also, visit us on Apple, Google, Spotify. You know, some of you may like the podcast version just because you may be out and about and you don't pay for YouTube Plus. So we got you covered over there. Just go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to rate us. Help us climb in the Apple ranks. You know, we don't have a Patreon right now, you know, so everything we're doing is free, totally on the house. So one thing we just ask for is just support, you know, support ain't don't cost you nothing. It's absolutely free. So that's all we ask for. Folks, I want to talk about two ladies in the business that's just doing their thing, sprinkling black girl magic. And that is Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, folks. If you've been watching Smackdown, you've seen these two have just been absolutely just killing the game. First, let's start with Bianca Belair. This program with Bayley, ever since she's been called up, she hasn't looked weak, right? She got called up officially the day after Smackdown. The day after WrestleMania. There was the program with, she was going after Zelina Vega. And ever since she did that, you know, she showed who she was. Raw just got the EST. She's the EST of Raw, whatever. However, she was, even though she like I said, she wasn't like, show weakness, you didn't see her jobbing out a lot, right? Then she kind of disappeared. She was on the main event shows or what have you. But then she went to SmackDown. And when she was drafted to SmackDown, it's just a totally different force. A force of nature. And it's been great to see. Now, we saw her team up with Sasha recently. As, excuse me, of course that had to happen. We saw her team up with Sasha Banks recently. Before that, no, let me slow down. She comes to SmackDown. You know, she has a couple matches where she's, just decimating the competition. Zelina Vega was involved in one of them too, before she, was released. And then all of a sudden, as Sasha and Bayley broke up, and Sasha finally gets the championship, you start to see them kind of put them together. And you looking at it, now we've been watching wrestling long enough, and this is a matchup I think a lot of people want to see at WrestleMania. But you're starting to see that they were both shining together. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, Bianca's really looking good. Well, Sasha finishes her program with Bayley. She's going to move on. We'll get to her soon. All of a sudden, Bianca's in a program with Bayley. Now, is she unbeatable, untouchable? No, which is good, because when that happens, then it makes, if they don't pay it off with a win, it makes it not credible. Think back to Asuka. Asuka came on the main roster, dominated, nobody beat her. She goes to WrestleMania, she loses to Charlotte, everybody gets upset. So I love the fact that Bianca did not lose. However, this program with Bayley, we start to see her, sometimes Bayley would get the best, but then Bianca is already somebody who holds her own on the microphone. She's very entertaining. She don't take no mess. And then she goes on this past week on SmackDown, shows off her athleticism. Now they had this little, obstacle course, and she goes out there, and while Bailey had the squat, put Chad Gable on her shoulders, Bianca was ready, and they said, no, you got to pick up Otis. Now, Otis, 300 plus pounds, and Bianca carried him with ease. What I did was I went on my Twitter account at Brian H. Waters, and I told people, I have a lot of people. I have over, 8,000 followers? Or is it over 8,000, 6,000, whatever, right? And my tweet read, because non-wrestling fans on my timeline must see this beautiful black woman named Bianca Belair, tagged her. Shine, this is not fake. She is really that strong. I wanted people to see that, and I saw, a lot of engagement. People was impressed with, said the virtual crowd had them laughing. 8,217 followers. But I wanted people to see that, look, this woman has literally picked this man up on her shoulders and carried him. And as we get ready to head into Black History Month, you see this and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But it's not forced. Now, last year we saw more black champions in the WWE than ever before. Y'all may not remember, but last year on Black History Month, a lot of black wrestlers took some L's. But when it comes to this, you starting to see this shift in there. You saw the women do a photo shoot, include Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Mia Yim, what's her name? The young lady with the braids. I want to say, man, I can't think of her name right now, and it's gonna kill me. But Simone Johnson. You saw all the black ladies. MJ Jenkins was a part of the team, but no, this was a couple years ago. But last year we even saw the wrestlers, vocal about Black Lives Mattering. We saw it very vocal, and I thought that was very important for the WWE to do that. Another thing with Bianca, you look at her, the Royal Rumble's coming up. She was in the women's WrestleMania Royal Rumble a few years ago, and that's when people was first introduced to her. But it made sense, it made sense to see her going out there dominating. And I believe one of the years she may have had the most eliminations. Now we're starting to see things go to another level. And that's why she is my pick to win it. Now, as we move forward, here's another thing. You look at this and you see, here's what's key. All of this is happening on Fox. I'm going to let you think about that while I go to this point about Sasha Banks. It was months ago where it felt like a dream that Sasha would become women's champion and hold on to the championship for longer than a month. Longer than one title defense. Everybody will admit, all Sasha fans, that when she won the championship and she defended that title against Bailey for the first time, you was scared. You was very scared because it felt like she could lose. Even when she first defended it against Carmella, everybody wasn't sold that Sasha was going to walk away with the championship. But she did. She really did. She did that. And that was the beauty of it. And so I'm looking at all this and I'm like, man, Sasha, Bianca, wow. Tonight, or I say tonight, I'll go ahead and say tonight because I'm recording on a Friday night. The most recent episode of Smackdown, Sasha participated in an intergender match with Reginald, the guy who comes out with Carmella, her arch nemesis right now. So I'm watching this match and I say, okay, let's see how they put it together. WWE hasn't done intergender matches in years to the point where you really see the strikes, the clotheslines. And this match you saw was a wrestling match, but it was also a dance, right? Very choreographed. I thought it was beautiful, considering you saw Reginald show off his athleticism and constantly doing all the flips. And then, even when he would try to do moves on Sasha, it wasn't I'm going to try and knock you out. So I thought they played it very safe there. But to see Sasha in this role as the Smackdown Women's Champion, a black woman, Black Girl Magic is shining in the WWE right now. It's shining. Now, here's the point about Fox. When you look at what's going on right now, this is happening on Fox. Black Girl Magic in the WWE is shining on Fox. That is Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. It is more likely for you, when things open up again, to go to a restaurant and find WWE wrestling on a Friday night. You're more likely to see it there than you are on a Monday night. No matter what, everybody doesn't have cable, but it's easier to get an antenna than cable, right? So Fox is on network television. To see these ladies going out there doing their thing on Fox each and every Friday night, that's amazing. The same station that will be hosting the NFC Championship. So I'm very excited to see what happens. I'm glad to see them get the ball. I really hope this is our WrestleMania match. And I'll say co-headline, because I do think the women will, should be looked at as co-headliners for every WrestleMania. Whether it's the Raw or the SmackDown, you choose, but I think they should be looked at as co-headliners. So, but like I said, Black Girl Magic is definitely shining in the WWE right now. Would definitely love to see Naomi get back a part of the mix. We'll see what happens. We obviously know she's on Monday Night Raw. I guess they'll be traveling again soon. I don't think you need to really separate them, especially with the fact that everybody's in Florida. But hey, to each his own. That's a whole different conversation. But I would definitely love to see Naomi get back in the mix soon. And I want to see her get an opportunity. Now, I'm one of the people, I do want to see Naomi in the Hurt Business, because I want to see how that would work. I know I was very vocal that I wasn't too high on her heel run. But let's see what happens now. But ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it on this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Keeping it 100. Make sure, if you haven't done so, hit the subscribe button. Promise you, you will not regret it. Subscribe to the channel. Let your friends know about it. The real Dwayne Allen and I are closing in on something huge. A couple huge projects, as this is our 10th anniversary. Shout out to this beautiful mug right here. It's our 10th anniversary, so I had to get an anniversary mug. I need a drink, obviously. It's just apple juice, I promise. So, shout out to all the wrestling podcasts doing their thing. Shout out to the ones that supporting the homies. So, folks, that'll do it for this episode. Break It Down with Brian H. Remember, keep it 100. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you get notified every time the Wrestling Realm posts new content.